Call the meeting to order, 5:30. Some announcements before we get started. Annual town election is this coming Monday, May 4th. Polls are open from 7 to 8 p.m. There's a sample ballot on the webpage if you're interested in looking at it beforehand. Thank you to all who participated in the Arbor Day celebration and the annual curbside cleanup. Next week on Thursday at 6 p.m. we're holding a Route 113 corridor planning workshop. This will be at the Pentucket Middle and High School in the atrium. Sage sent a newsletter for May and June is out. We want to say a special thank you to Christine Marshall, who's retiring, and a welcome to Sonia Nathan, who's our new COA director. Memorial Day Parade. Monday, May 25th. It seems like way too early for it to be upon us. It doesn't feel like close to Memorial Day. And then as always, we have openings on some boards and committees. There's a complete list on the town website on the volunteer tab. Item A is public comment. Anybody here online who should make a public comment?
Thanks. Following up the special town meeting non-approval of Article 16 for replacement of a combined natural gas heating with electrical cooling HVAC unit with like equipment. I understand that Building and Grounds has already begun exploring heat pump options. Brian Richard reached out to me to share some initial information he's pulled together. And I asked if he was open to a generic informational conversation with a West Newbury resident who works for an international heat pump manufacturer for an overview of current heat pump capabilities and considerations. This would be a non-sales conversation by somebody who cares about the town and really just wants to see the best thing done that can be done. I hope the town explores available incentives, rebates, and grants for transitioning to heat pumps. Unfortunately, I believe the application window for the spring round of Green Communities competitive grants closed recently. So that's probably not an option for whatever the town hopes to do before next winter. But there's probably a complementary utility program. That's an incentive program. It's likely that Chip Wallace and or I will attend National Grid's annual Municipal Energy Summit on June 9th in Worcester. And either of us, I'm sure, would be happy to explore utility offerings then to try to understand what financial benefit there might be. A recommendation in the carbon decarbonization roadmap accepted last spring was to have comprehensive energy audits performed on targeted buildings first before making changes. Each building is an integrated system with passive elements in the building envelope, such as insulation, infiltration barriers, windows, and doors, and active components in the HVAC equipment. If a conversion to heat pumps is going to happen in any town-owned building, it would be best to be engineered holistically instead of piecemeal. So that's all I had to say about that. But on a completely different note, Angus, I just wanted to say thanks for everything.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate that. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I keep telling people I'm here 3 more months. So
yeah, I know you do, but you've gotten a lot done. It's not been stressful, or it's not been unstressful. It's stressful. It's also been, it's not been unstressful for anybody, least of all for you. So, thanks for as much online as you did.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Rick.
Okay, any other public comments? Okay, moving on to item B, town manager updates.
All right, first update, just generic. It's always, obviously with town meeting just shortly behind us. Many of the articles that passed where we kind of immediately pivot toward implementation mode. So I've been working initially this week primarily with Caitlin Barker and Butch and Brian on the many articles that were approved on whether purchase of equipment or vehicles or there's all obviously prioritized based on timeliness. So for instance, we pretty much immediately met with Heimlich, the contractor at Pickleball regarding the path, and Butch and I walked that with them even though we've walked it before, just now that the funding is there, it's real, we want to make sure that everyone's crystal clear on exactly where it's going, where there's going to be grading, whether there might need to be an extension of a bit of the retaining wall, because it's going to need to grade down to the pickleball court. So anyhow, we're now into that kind of the project's real, so that's very exciting. Caitlin's working with them on a change order and a scope and contract adjustment for that. Some of the more equipment or vehicle purchases that will all proceed in the order of urgency. Some of these are routine and so those will kind of take the back seat to the things that are more time intensive. But I'm also working with some of the departments on the FY 27 budgets, and for those, for instance, like with public safety, with changes. I met with Chief Dwyer. We're looking at how to make adjustments on the couple of lines where there were some changes there. So basically, we're in a post-town meeting mode. I know Amanda, the town clerk, is working on the her report documenting the outcome of town meeting, the annual and the special. So I think this is kind of a standard post-town meeting. Just we're now in that kind of implementation mode. So later on tonight's agenda, we did include some discussion with for the board to preview anything either coming out of the Springtown meeting or otherwise that should be on the radar for the fall, whether that's things that were taken off the warrant or whatever. So that I think that's a good practice to get into, is just while it's all fresh in our mind to think about what we know might be coming up and kind of keep a running list so that we don't the things that we can kind of get due diligence done sooner, just to so it doesn't all kind of get into that crowded time frame between Labor Day and special town meeting in the fall. That's all I had on that, unless there's anything particular on town meeting follow-up. Staffing updates, when mentioned earlier, we've got a new COA director, Sonia. She began on Monday, so she's had the last 4 days to work with Christine on the transition. Today was Christine's official last day, so it was a very, very nice reception early today at the Sage Center. Very, very well attended. Needless to say, the food was terrific. There was a representative from Senator Tarr's office there, and a very, very nice turnout of a lot of people. And I know, that meant a great deal to Christine. She obviously leaves a tremendous legacy here in town with the work she's done, and I think has set things up very nicely for Sonia. The level of organization is astounding. There's all binders, it's all very, very organized and meticulous. So we'll be working with Sonia and Jen Vincent to kind of provide whatever support we need or they need in the transition to new leadership in the Sage Center.
I go back to the town meeting.
Yep.
A number of people said to me, you gotta get new microphones.
I talked to Adam actually earlier today. We were
We
talking
put a
about.
budget together before adding with that or something.
Yeah, so he, one change that was not, it wasn't a knowing change, but there was only the one phone, and I know that was not super convenient. It's nice when you have two. I think part of that was because we did anticipate there might be a large turnout. It was a healthy turnout, but it wasn't the kind of overflow capacity we were a little concerned about. So I don't know if that was part of why they didn't have like the two mics, or it wasn't. I don't know if it was a conscious decision or if it was just, but there was just the one mic. Beyond that, though, I talked with them about the continuing issues of acoustics and people being able to hear properly. Part of that, obviously, the moderator sometimes was speaking into the mic, sometimes wasn't. That's something that's.
Well, couldn't we get her headset?
Yeah, so.
Release it, that way she can
Yeah,
walk where she
that's a great idea. And the other one I asked him, is there anything that could be done either with different, buffering for the acoustics or any kind of like drop mics, like to better pick up ambient noise? I'm not sure. So, but I did tell him, I talked to Adam earlier today, really specifically to gear up for next Thursday's workshop at Pentucket, which he'll be recording. But also just to, provide some of the feedback we've received on some of the acoustic concerns. So he's going to give some thought to that, but it's certain, of course, he's listening right now. So the idea of a headset is a good one. And We also do have the portable cordless mics that could be used as well, so.
Thank you.
I won't touch on all of them, but one other staffing update, just to make you aware, we had posted the summer invasive land stewards position, several weeks ago. At this point, as of yesterday, I think we got 18 applicants. And, I haven't, viewed them, but I'm told there's a lot of, really qualified, really interesting candidates. So, the conservation agents working with Jen Geary, on coming up with a list for interview. So that process is underway, and then there's been a lot of work, which we'll get into a little bit later tonight on among our staff working group on the invasive species, kind of to make sure that the land stewards come in with a very well formulated work plan, and that we get the appropriate training and onboarding up front, so they can really come in, get a immersive training, and then really have clear direction for what we hope they'll get done over the course of the roughly 10 weeks that we expect they'll be here. So that's underway. Next item, Wendy mentioned there's a major public workshop next Thursday. That'll be at the Kentucky Middle High School at 6 p.m. For the Route 113 continuing effort on the traffic safety.
You said Wednesday, is it next Thursday?
Did I say Wednesday? That's next Thursday. Yeah, next Thursday, the 7th. So the focus areas for that will be the library town hall crossing. That's one where we do have a concept plan that was shared with the board last June. But that was toward the end of the, that particular phase of the work in FY25 needed to be complete by the end of the fiscal year. So it was shared, it's in a public packet, but it was never like proactively sent out for a public meeting because it wasn't in that stage of the contract. So that is where we are now with the library town hall crossing, is to share that concept more broadly and more proactively with the community and with the immediate neighbors, and to get input, what people like, what they don't like, are there other ideas? So that'll be the focus for the library town hall crossing, is to actually get feedback on that concept. The town center is at an earlier stage. All that's been done there is base survey. So that part of the discussion next Thursday is going to be much more open-ended. What do people see in terms of what works? Are there ideas or concerns people have to improve pedestrian safety or kind of multimodal transportation through the town center? And to take that input and then have TEC kind of put pen to paper as to whether there are any changes. I'm hearing some sentiment that it works just fine the way it is and leave it as is. And if that's the direction from the community, then that's ultimately it's going to be up to the select board to kind of set a policy direction on that. But as we know very well, it's a state-owned road, so it's ultimately up to the state what happens or what doesn't happen. But it's very much up to the town how, whether we push things, whether we back off on things, and what ideas the town might want to get behind in either of those locations. We are going to include in the program an overview of the overall corridor study, just to remind people of the overall framework for that, because while the focus at this particular time is these two locations, there's prior conceptual planning that was done out in high school and other locations along the corridor. So
On the town center,
Mhm.
did these get mailed to business owners within the town center as well?
yes,
Okay.
a school statement of interest was submitted in April. I don't think we're gonna hear anything on that for many months. But I included in the packet this timeline that Guianac had provided for us some time ago. It was unchanged from what you've seen previously, but I think it's good to keep this in circulation, because certainly if the MSBA does accept the statement of interest into their program, which we would expect to learn toward December, that is going to very quickly turn into a very major initiative that the town will be wanting to put some significant resources toward in terms of planning and public engagement. And if it's accepted into the program next December, I would assume that the board would be looking to, or actually more like the district would be looking to get funding in place for a feasibility study, which would then be part of Kentucky's assessment to the town for the FY 28 budget cycle. So we're a ways away from that, but where the SOI was submitted since the last meeting, I just wanted to provide that brief update.
I asked last time, I'll ask again, should we notify our state legislators that we've submitted this so they can
We should.
keep on top of it?
Yeah.
Did we put this on the work plan for that time frame, like for the second half of?
I don't think we did.
Might be good to do that.
Yeah, definitely. And finally, just a couple of procurement updates. The public safety roof, obviously that passed, so Caitlin's now awarded the contract on that, so that's great. And then the library facility master plan, I included in the packet a couple of the addenda that had gone out. And in addition to that, there was we took a scan of the entire, we had the full building plan set, you know, like 30 pages of plan design sheets, so that was all provided to the prospective vendors through the RFQ process for the library plan. The file was something like 137 megabytes, so that's, I didn't include it in your materials, there was no way to, but it's, if you're interested, we do have the complete plan set for the library. And that's, we've shared with the prospective vendors all of the information we have on the building, so we're expecting some good proposals from some qualified vendors, and they'll be submitting those based on having had access to a lot of the information we have on file regarding the building. So I believe the deadline, I think it's around May 6th. Do you happen to know?
Yeah, it's about.
It's right around there. It might, that's for some reason that date's in my head, but it's coming up.
So, the addendum's not, is it in the posted packet?
I believe so. Yeah.
What are the main?
Let's see.
Library plans?
Oh, these were, yeah, these I sent around, let's see, so it was, yeah, these I sent around via email and went, so the first addendum was very, very simple. And the second one is here. It had, it basically documents the in-person building tour that took place.
Mhm.
So there's a bunch of Q&A of what was asked during the walking tour, which was all documented. Prior to this being issued, Caitlin had drafted it and sent it around to, you know, Sam and myself and Corinne and Brian Richard and I think a few others. So it was issued with a lot of input. So yeah, I'm sorry if I didn't think to. Just,
Scope, I just wanna see who attended.
oh yeah, yeah.
Great.
And I think that's all I have.
Okay.
Butch will be here a little later if you want. There's obviously things going on with the bridge and pickleball, all of which is going very well. But if you want more details, I'm sure he'd be happy to talk about it later on.
Okay, so let's move on to the action items. Item A is the special event applications. We have one for Myopia Hunt Club. Doesn't look like Deb is here. Do you want to do any questions, Chris?
As we noted earlier, there is no, they did not get approval. The Concom to use Sawmill Brook. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's not checked on the checklist.
That would be the only question and concern I had. I would make a motion to approve the Myopia Hunt Club application for May 5th, but excluding them from using the Sawmill Brook property. Because there is no time frame available to get permission from Concom.
So you said there is a checklist with what you have.
Very limited checklist, one page well.
Yeah, it's one page, but it was with the application, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'll second the motion. What's the best way to communicate this with Deb?
I
I mean,
mean,
if the map that's the, you know, their map is showing. That would, and you know what? This map still has the West Newbury OpenSpace.net on it.
yes, it does.
Alright,
Rough point.
right,
Yeah, close to starting to reject these things if they come in with this,
oh, it's an option.
not this time, but if it comes in again, I'll say we will.
Well, do you have the checklist right there? Is there a place on here about the map that we could put that detail that gotta be updated maps? If it's on the average application. Yeah, so maybe I can ask Amanda on the supplemental documents to add detail there. That the maps have to be up to date, and just recycle this in one. Okay, any further discussion? On this? Well, I will reach out to Deb so that. Staff don't have to do it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the next item is, the Near North Open House. This is on May 16th, and I see we have Marissa here. Hello, how are you?
Apologies, I'm not used to using Zoom on my phone. So yeah, thanks for having me. I'm happy to answer any questions about this event. We appreciate the town's support and the community's support for everything that New England Equine Rescue does.
Chris, did you have any questions?
If not, I guess Amanda left us some paperwork saying that, have Fat Belly, which is their food vendor, contacted what it has for permit other than that.
Oh, they haven't done that yet.
So I spoke to Rebecca about that this afternoon. She said that, she's talked to Paul and Paul's in touch with Fat Belly.
Okay,
So it's not like formal, but there's communication going on.
They're aware.
And that was also, conveyed to Near North, so.
okay,
And Paul said, he's worked with Fat Belly many times on other, things, and that they know the deal and they know what's needed, so he's on that.
okay. Marissa, I had a question on the police EMS detail. You checked no, but did you consult with Chief Dwyer? On that?
I did not. Honestly, we had a week to pull this together. We've never required a detail before. We've always invited police and fire to join us. So I wasn't aware I needed to go consult. I apologize. I can do that next time. This was a whole new process to me. I joined NEAR as the event coordinator in basically in June of 2024. So I previously had not gone through this process. We hadn't had an event that had gone through this.
Okay, so typically it's up to the police chief to decide whether a detail is needed or not. So,
Okay.
So that's just, it's part of the checklist process. Did they check it on? Did you notice this?
So that, no. And
That was the page that,
Okay.
what does it say on there?
It's checked no, but I don't know that Dwyer was consulted for that.
Now, last year Wyatt said they did not need one. They
Okay,
had personnel on site for fire and things like that. He didn't feel like, that was last year, that's not this year, so I just sort of assumed
okay,
it was the same, but that's a bad thing to assume.
I know he was in the building today. I met with him for a few minutes on something else. And I know this afternoon Rebecca was gonna try to connect with him and try to connect with Paul, and I don't, it was a very busy day, so I
okay.
don't know if they did, but it was.
All right, so I think just on our end, we need to confirm so that Dwyer's okay with that. And then on the temporary tents,
Yep.
do you remember what the detail is on what needs a permit? From Sam?
It's like 400 square feet.
Yeah. I think it was bigger than that.
All right, so 10 by 10 is fine.
That has a little tiny
All
box.
right, just done. Okay, great.
Yeah, and there is a threshold under the state building code. It's not a local regulation, but once
Okay.
the temporary tent's above a certain scale, but it's not 10 by 10, it's larger than that. But
Okay.
it's worth having that number in your head, our building inspector can provide that, but there's some square footage above which it actually needs the building inspector, even though it's a temporary, but I think these are like the big, ones you see for wedding receptions and things.
Fair. So that's a single tent, not cumulative across what we have put up. We usually have somewhere, I'm trying to think, like 6 10x10s put up. It's not cumulative across those. It would be just if we had a single larger tent. Is that accurate?
Correct.
From what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Because if there
Yeah.
was if they collapsed or something, that could cause injury to somebody underneath.
Absolutely, yeah. We cookie cutter this event and we try to use everything we have already. As a nonprofit, cost obviously is constantly a concern. We're trying to spend on, hay and grain and vet bills rather than on rentals where we can. So cost conscious is always the way we go. We are lucky to have had people donate 10x10s that they had used for a backyard event and don't need any more, 6-foot tables, things like that. So we just use those over and over whenever possible.
Okay, great. The only other question I had is on the certificate of insurance. It says
Mhm.
Town of Newbury Town Hall Annex. Is that okay, I guess? Usually it just says Town of West Newbury.
Yeah, that's probably, I don't know why that would be in there, but I think it would be better to, not have that because that kind of suggests the event
There.
is there and so.
Okay. Would you like me to have insurance remove that and reissue it?
I think if you can do that, that would be great.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay,
Make a motion,
All right.
condition number 3.
okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the near special event permit on May 16th with 3 conditions being approval of Board of Health, Bad Valley for their food, police chief, and assessment of any details required, and the upgrading of the insurance certificate to remove the town hall annex.
all right, second, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, you're all set, thank you very much.
Thank
And
you
there
so
was
much, and I hope you'll come visit.
I think Amanda was gonna get a hold of you regarding your other questions, so, if she
Yes.
hasn't already, you'll hear from her.
Yeah, she replied this afternoon. That's how I got the invitation for tonight. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank
Okay,
you, great.
yeah. All right, the next item is consideration of applicants for reappointment to the Board of Fire Engineers. So I know we have one member here, anybody online?
No.
So. So how do you want to do this, Chris? So at our last meeting, we had decided to reduce the number from 5 to 3. Just in the interest of,
Is that the recommendation of the chief?
it was.
Okay.
So anything you want to say?
No,
Your application speaks for itself.
yeah, just, I've been on board for a while, so just
Yeah.
come in, so. Thank you.
Chris, any questions or thoughts?
No, I don't even know how to do it. I mean, I could make a motion and see your thoughts, but I didn't know. We're all good people and have been there and doing good things, so it's hard to. I wish somebody would have said they didn't want to be on there.
Well,
You have any thoughts?
we need Dwyer, because he's the fire chief,
Yeah,
so.
definitely going. Yeah,
Ben's here, so Cooper's on an airplane on the way home from Florida or somewhere, so he couldn't be here, but he did let Rebecca know that and she forwarded it to me, so. Maybe we can just appoint those 3.
it works for me, and the other 2 are fine too, so I don't. I'll make a motion that way, I guess, and appoint Michael Dwyer, Cooper, and Ben. Fire engineer, Board of Fire Engineers.
And I'll second that, and that's a 1-year term, correct?
It is.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And thank you to the other 2 as well, and no disrespect. I don't know what else to do.
Item C is to request to install new signage at Pipe State. And this is to highlight the availability of the EV charging stations over at the Page School.
And I think, I wanna say that the board actually already approved it, it was just a matter of getting the language, so
Yeah.
Who signage, yeah, exactly, you just said, we just wanted We
Yeah.
threw it back to them.
So, and in terms of, you know, you really, what's before you is the content, before we send it to the fabricator, we'll, you know, get it, you know, the formatting and the more like, the content is what's before you.
Good thing.
Well, so while we have them there, can we talk about the charge point too? I know it's out of order, I believe in. Oh, it is the next one.
It's the next item, yeah.
Well, let's deal with the sign first, is the sign, okay?
Okay. I have no problem with it. How are you?
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve the signage as presented for the EV charging stations at Page School.
Seconded,
Yeah, just.
has this been run by the Page administration? Do they,
It has not, no,
I mean, I'm sure it's fine, but I just think that'd be a good.
that'd be good to, yeah.
It's actually going over pipes there.
Right.
It is, but
it's-
as particularly with the hours of operation, making sure that that's, because that was all established with the former principal.
Mhm.
And presumably that all carried forward, but you never want to assume anything, and where there's a new principal, it'd be good to. Make sure that they're that's
Okay.
appropriate.
Rick, did you want to say something?
Just curious, locations, I don't have the agenda in front of me, so, what location specifically?
It doesn't say.
Two signs in the parking lot at the top of the hill and one in the
Oh,
lot
sorry.
down.
Okay,
That's per chip.
great.
Thanks, so which can work with you guys on kind of exactly where it makes sense.
Put it on a message board that's up there. If there are. Bulletin board type of thing.
You mean at the middle line, you mean?
Excuse me?
You mean at the middle lot or the upper one?
Upper lot, which lots do you want these at?
Well,
The request was one at the top of the hill and one in the next lot down.
All right, so you want top and middle.
oh,
It was two at the top was our recommendation, but you know, it makes sense to you guys.
So should the one be by the charging stations themselves, so they know the rules?
I think, isn't it already at the charging stations, isn't it hours already?
I don't think there's a sign regarding school hours there. I don't. What material are they?
Well, I was also gonna ask what size, what kind of these are 4x8 feet.
The typical signs, what, like 18 by
Be under.
24
Oh,
or
I don't
something?
think so.
What's the typical sign?
12 by 18.
12 by 18?
Is that what we're gonna look at?
Yeah, we usually go with just whatever's the typical.
Without asking, you know, it could be a 4x8 sheet.
Yeah,
You're really
right,
surprised.
yeah, yeah, it could be a billboard.
All right, so are we good on those, okay, or can you guys just work it out with Butch, or?
Yeah,
Do you want to have to say?
how many you getting, 2 or 3?
Ask Butch for two.
The request was for three.
Three, whatever.
Two,
Placing 2 signs in the parking lot at the top of the hill
Oh,
and
and-
one in the lot next down.
yeah.
Sorry, I missed.
Are there 2 sensible places at the top?
There's a post out by the way you go down the hill on the backstop, and we can put one on the bull, I call it bulletin board area.
Okay, so that'd be her end of the work.
Yeah. You can,
And what size are they typically, Butch?
you 12 by 18, I think that's the size of the other ones we've been getting, if I remember right,
I'd like to add that to the motion too, just to make sure that's been specified.
that way the writing's not squished, you know what I mean?
Already made the motion, just made it there. Can we do it? Make a motion to approve 3 signs and pipe stave signage for the EV charging stations to be 12 inches by 18 inches.
Thanks. Second, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Which while we're on that, have those new dog maps been put up?
They've been out for
Oh,
a month or so, I
okay,
think right after the snow melted, we had them on.
all right, the next item is, request to authorize to pay 1-year charge point cloud plan. And warranty, and this is gonna be out of the EV, charging station revolving fund.
Yeah, there hasn't been an expenditure out of this, so we wanted to make sure that, you know, I certainly didn't wanna make that decision, as to, as particularly where it would comprise, most of the available balance in there. So, we had, frankly overlooked this. It was, when we put the plan in place, it was 5 years ago, and, when we heard from the vendor, actually, I mean, you haven't forgotten. You had mentioned to me that, hey, this 5 years gonna come up, but, once we got the bill, it was it's pretty expensive, and this was not something we could absorb in the current operating budget. So we were initially thinking, should we be going for like a reserve fund transfer, but then we thought this, revolving fund might be a good way to handle it for the current fiscal year. And then assuming it's, I don't know that there's a choice going forward, but assuming it is something the town's gonna continue, I would think you'd want to build it into next year's operating budget, which could be at a fall town meeting if there end up being other budget amendments, you could integrate it into there.
Okay. What was your question?
Well, my question is, there's money that goes into the account. But there's nothing that goes out so far. So does that mean that the town is paying for the electric utilization, or is this a net that goes in? Is the town, who pays for the electric? It gets consumed.
I don't know. No,
The town, like.
Yeah, we pay the bill for the charging
So there's
stations.
no offset with this fund.
Not, no, we don't pay those bills out of this fund. No, we pay.
We don't know those bills total.
We do. I mean, I don't know it off the top of my head, but we have, Caitlin's got a spreadsheet of all of the different accounts, and it would be easy to.
I mean, I would anticipate, figure this is with most other revolving accounts, you take, if you're trying to do one, you take the money that goes in to offset the cost of the fund. So I don't know how much the cost of the electric has been over this time, but if you brought in 9,000, you spent 10,000, that's not a good plan.
Right.
Particularly if we're now looking at another 6,200 a year to maintain that, so. I don't have a problem voting it for this 1 year, but I think we have to have an analysis done of that and see if the rates are supporting the system itself.
yeah.
Because without knowing the cost of the electricity, it's,
So what is the delta? I mean, if we did a multi-year extension, I'm assuming that would be more cost effective.
Yeah, included in there, they initially gave us a 3-year proposal. And we kind of had sticker shock, so we circled back. Yeah, this is, it was 15,700 for 3 years. And so then we got a 1-year proposal that was the 6280, I believe.
$1,000 more per year rather than 5,200, 6,200 rough terms.
Right.
But until we find out. I mean,
No, I agree.
In October, November, we were looking into this, at the time, the town was paying 26 cents a kilowatt hour
And we're
for the
charging,
electricity, and we charge it 35.
The cost has gone up substantially from the original last.
My concern is that the town is subsidizing these charging stations. Just want to make sure that the taxpayers are aware of that if they want to consider that.
so, what's the date that we have to decide by? Is that any?
We're already past, and they're not like cutting off
Yeah.
service, so I think we want to deal with it promptly, but I don't think, I don't think if it goes another 2 weeks, I don't see a problem with that.
Chris, do you want to hold off until?
No, I'm fine voting this 1 year
Okay.
amount, doing an analysis in the fall, we can decide where it should be.
Okay,
If you want it on the next agenda, even if you decide tonight, just as an information item, it's something I know Caitlin can produce that data very, very easily.
that'd be great. Right,
Make a motion to authorize using the EV charging station revolving fund to pay for the 1 year contract. For charging.
you have a second,
Well, that's what they're.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just thinking.
Let's see, all right, item E is a request for authorization to include knotweed treatment near Mill Pond parking lot. This is in the invasive plant management vendor, work. Butch, did you wanna share with us what the plan is?
Yeah, that one there is, I know you just mentioned, that's a crosswalk at Page School. And last fall, there was a resident that spotted some knotwood, Japanese knotwood in that area. So figured we would get that sprayed and then take care of that. It might be couple of treatments, I think, Brian said.
Mhm.
We're thinking that area there, and then the area nearest 113, that was, they were doing a trial on how to get rid of the knotweed a few years ago.
Yeah.
It would be that area there towards the roadway.
Mhm.
That would be sprayed for knotweed. And then below that is an area that we were thinking that, it's basically a butterfly habitat field now. What I'd like to do is keep mowing around it, say 15 to 20 feet around, so it's isolated by itself. And then there's been talk of having interns come in and maintaining it or making it, and getting rid of all the woody stuff.
Yeah.
And maintaining it, and it would help them, like on their resumes or whatever, we did this,
Mhm.
give them something, like a goal type of thing.
Okay.
That's what we'd like to do in that area there.
So the invasive treatment that was only on the two knotweed areas, you're not talking about doing any
No,
treatment in the
that would be done with interns.
hand pulling? and that kind of
Yep.
thing?
And if the stuff that's too big, was gonna, I've been, we met with, Carol and Angus a few weeks ago. And mentioned kind of what I'd like to do, and if it doesn't get done, maybe let me know sometime, the best time in the summer to mow it.
Mhm.
So we can like start over.
Yeah.
That's an ongoing discussion with
Okay.
Carol and that group.
Okay. Great.
What are they used for treatment? Roundup or something similar?
Whatever they use for knotweed, I am not sure what the exact chemical is.
I believe it's not something that's commercially available, right? It's something that Brian Cohen
Yeah.
has his license. It's,
It is.
it's like a kind of high octane. I don't know, Carol, I don't know if you're, hearing the conversation, but she might know, or you might know, Wendy. what-
Yeah, I mean, they cut it and then they paint the cuts down.
Yeah, they spray it or paint
And
it.
so you're saying they're gonna come back in the fall and
He was mentioning a couple treatments, yeah.
Yes, multiple treatments, and it can be over the course of 2 to 3 years. He did not, Brian Coleman did not think this area is gonna take, he thinks he can pretty well eradicate that. With some intensive treatment, maybe twice this year, but this other area might be, maybe.
Yeah, that corner right in the drive where the driveway bends. It's
Yeah.
terrible. It's like a
Yeah, from
problem.
there to that opening is pretty
Yeah.
thick.
So the demonstration area they had, there was no conclusion from that or?
That I would know, I know there was,
They get kind of faded out after,
yeah, on meeting house, I didn't.
okay, just curious.
And then there was a section over on the Cherry Hill.
We'll get to that in a
Okay,
minute,
alright,
so,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, those two areas right there, would like to do
Okay.
something with.
And that's part of the existing contract with Brian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be covered within that funding. Right now, we have it as a time and materials based on the direction he's given, so it doesn't, the current contract doesn't specify locations. That's what this is for.
Yeah.
This conversation tonight.
No Concom issues?
No, neither of these are within, neither of these would require, any kind of filing, at least. In I see a Concom member raising his hand, so.
I'm not gonna raise a Concom issue.
Okay.
But I see Carol came on, but this being that close to the school, is there any kind of notice or marking that goes on the area when it's treated?
We haven't encountered anything this close to something we can inquire.
Mhm.
You know, like when you get your lawn done, they put those little yellow signs in with a warning, but there may have to be some notation or note.
Good to look into.
Are those blue lines, the right of way? Is that actually within the?
It's the GIS right of way, so it's not, I wouldn't bank on it. No, in fact, it's definitely not, because it was amended to encompass this driveway.
All right,
I believe Jack Dugan was kind of involved with that area on, and
the
the
demonstration.
demonstration thing, that I believe it was him.
Yeah.
He had something to do with it.
Okay,
Yeah, it was Jack with West Newbury Wild and Native. And it was 3 years, but I'd have to go back to review his conclusions.
well, it sounds like none of them worked, right?
No.
No, actually, I think the black plastic, cutting in black plastic worked. But for the huge area that we're talking about, and Brian may use a glyphosate type treatment, but they're going to need something very strong to get rid of all of that knotweed.
Yeah, okay,
And it won't happen with one application.
yeah.
No.
No,
These are mentioned multiple.
Yeah. So do you think this is our brightest burning issue in terms of invasives? If we have this time and materials contract, we wanna make sure we're thoughtful about how we use it.
Yeah, we picked these two spots rather than a wider area. We kind of concentrated our focus
Mhm.
and so it would be done in a certain amount of time, then we can go on to another area later.
All right, any other questions, Chris? Motion?
Motion B, was,
Item B, ready?
yeah, I know, but what should the motion be?
That we
Authorize,
authorize to food and not retreatment. I mean, we're being asked as the stewards of Mill Pond.
who we authorizing, Butch or the, vendor?
We're authorizing Butch to have the vendor included.
Make a motion to authorize Butch to engage the vendor to do the applications on the not with the two specified locations.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, item F, this is a consideration to, change the schedule for the Mill Pond dock and the work plan. So this is the entrance to the existing dock. The piece has been removed, it's failing, so there's nothing there now, and, it's just people are traipsing through the wetland area to get onto the dock, they got stuck in the water, I mean, it's not really a great situation. We had originally had this on for immediate, and then we pushed it off. And so I was at the Mill Pond Committee meeting last week, and they asked if we would reconsider and see if we could get it addressed before the summer. However, I reached out to Brian, I shared, I had done a similar project at work, and I shared the design details with him. It appears that Concom said they have to have an engineer to stamp the drawing in order to do the NOI, is that not true?
I don't recall that. I recall that we wanted an NOI.
Yeah,
Because the gap that they're proposing to fill is bordering vegetated wetland, and so for consistency with everyone else
Yeah.
in town, we wanted that filing. And then they wanted to use, they purchased a section of dock.
yeah, that's not,
No, but they wanted to use that, and we said that can't go in that space.
Yeah.
That they could use it elsewhere on the dock, but it was just an NOI. I don't know that.
all right, so I think there might
It'd
have
be
been
a stamp.
misunderstanding. Dan, the conservation agent was at this meeting with Bill Pine, and he didn't say it needed to be stamped, as I said, I would share some ideas. So this is basically building a frame of pressure treated 4x10 section, and then using deck and plastic decking with like 62% light penetration.
Exactly.
So there wouldn't be any railings, it would just, and that would be on 4x4 posts, on each end,
Standard sort of BBW
Yeah.
spanning.
like a boardwalk kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so if it doesn't need an engineered,
Well, we're meeting at 7, so we can verify this issue.
okay,
But-
well, we're making a motion right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion, we hold until we hear what Concom has to say, that's a prudent thing.
Well, or you could say subject to
What
what.
did you make it?
what-
I mean, first of all, are you in agreement with moving this up? The only staff time involved only will be Brian to build it, and I guess Paul has offered to do the NOI. I also offered to help Brian with it because I did an NOI for the same design with Newbury, so.
Fine with the concept, if you have to go with engineer drawings, that's a whole different level.
I agree, and I don't think it's warranted. I mean,
I
it's
don't
fine.
recall it was, so
Yeah.
if
I mean, there's land
Do
underwater
you wanna-
on it.
you wanna set this off for a few minutes, I'll go see if Dan or Molly are in.
I can make the motion and just be,
Let's just make the motion
Yeah.
contingent on,
I'll make the motion that we move the, Mill Pond dock up on the work plan to provide for them to do the work with the qualification that there is no engineered, drawing required, but possibly an NOI maybe.
it will require an NOI. But,
There you go.
okay. All right, so I'll second. All in favor? Aye. All right, so this will move into the immediate.
On that
Right,
track.
yep, and I was able to connect with Brian earlier today. I
Did he
think-
share that with you as
He
well?
did, yeah, he was in 100% agreement, needless to say, that he felt engineering was overkill.
Yeah,
And he felt that an NOI that could be prepared, at a staff level ought to be sufficient.
okay,
And that he said he's happy to do whatever people want done. So,
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, the next item is a review of a proposed select board policy to ban the use of, uh, anticoagulant, rodenticides on town-owned property. So there's a draft of a policy in here, which, Kathy had started, and I just modified it to fit more with the other policies. I did send this to both Brian and Paul. I thought since the Board of Health is doing emergency waivers, Paul should review it, and he thought it was fine. He did wonder whether this was needed inside buildings. He said that he thought all of the, traps had been removed inside buildings. Do you think that's, I don't think that's true, Angus, do you know?
Kind of.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
comment on that, I don't know.
Even if they have, I think,
It would be needed inside a building, because if somebody
That's
eats it
weird.
and walks outside,
yeah,
still taking the stuff.
yeah. Well, again, I think his thought was that the, roads would be staying within the building, but that's not usually.
You don't
how
really
it
follow
goes.
reason. But they must see the traffic place nice.
So did you have any, edits on this, Chris?
I have no edit. My question, I think we probably asked it before, I mean, Butch is here, are there alternative products he can use that will give a similar or satisfactory outcome without using this?
Well, that's debatable. The, pesticide contractors say no.
Oh, yeah, that's still living.
Right. But I mean, there are alternative methods. It doesn't have to be.
Sledgehammer.
All snap traps are the most effective and most humane.
No, dry ice is another one if they're in a hole.
Would you wanna?
Cholesterol, vitamin D
Mhm.
is, it doesn't, bioaccumulate. It is pretty deadly, so that's a possibility if they're, I mean, it's a nasty poison as well to a rat or mouse. But it doesn't bioaccumulate, so it doesn't carry it up the food chain. So if they need a lethal alternative, I mean, snap traps, IPM strategies of exclusion, which are challenging but work.
You a snap trap, it's the old fashioned mouse
Little
trap.
snap trap or electronic traps,
The electronic ones for mice are great, I don't know if they have for rats, but
I think they do.
snap traps for school would be good.
Yeah.
Ouch.
There are several pest control companies that offer non-rodenticide services. They are staying in business, so I think they're effective.
There are options, yeah.
There are good
I mean, I
options.
think it's a great idea, I just don't wanna create a problem, we get overrun by. Birds.
Mhm.
Put up an owl house.
It seems like the feedback Brian's gotten from the vendor is, it continues to reference within a comprehensive pest management strategy, like. That there has to be diligent, monitoring to make sure there's closing any seals or cracks or,
Disposal of waste approach,
Yeah.
I know that, but yeah, do we have that plan or?
Brian's comfortable with now, did he get back to you on this
He
draft policy? Yes, and he's, yeah, he's comfortable with the
Yeah,
direction.
in that case, I'm fine, I mean, that's all, I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, the emergency waivers in here, if a particular situation is not working, there is a means to.
It was 14 days, that's, you gotta be back every month if there's a problem.
Right, I'm just saying in an extreme circumstance, there's something built in, and if we need to revisit it, we can do that.
Okay.
Right, so no edits on this, we fine with the language? Motion,
Just don't ask me to read it out loud. I can't pronounce half those words.
Make a motion to approve the policy of the Western Newbury Select Board, the use of anticoagulant rodenticides as presented.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's see, the next item is a request to authorize the town manager to take more than 6 vacation days. So this is a term in the contract. Following the resignation date, so that's just so that. You don't take the next 3 months vacation and leave us high and dry without getting work done.
Right.
So,
I'm gonna do 2 months for him.
yeah. So I'm fine with this conceptually. We had talked about coming up with a plan or you identifying like the things that have to get done. So
Definitely.
I think for the next meeting, we should definitely look at that.
Yeah, we've got that penciled in. I think that's gonna fit nicely both, workload wise, cause we have a good handle on that, but with town meeting just a couple of days ago, that would have been tough to pull off for tonight's meeting.
Mhm.
But also by, the next meeting, presumably we'll have full board.
Mhm.
So I think that is a perfect time to kind of, say this is where we are on everything on the work plan. And this is the stuff that's, anyhow, yeah, what we expect to have complete prior to the end of my tenure. And for those that will be ongoing, what's the transition plan?
Okay.
So we're looking to hold off on this, we're gonna address it.
No, no. So how many vacation days are you planning to take?
I don't have a specific plan. I have the week in Cape Cod in July. I would like to take a second week in July. I was thinking, because part of the reason we have the auditor coming that final week of July is because the treasurer collector is out the week after I'm out.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we could have had them come in, but since she's gonna be out, the auditors are coming in that last week of July. So that was my thinking of to have that be my last week. But if I take those middle 2 weeks in a row, I think it'd be really nice starting a new position to have a nice 2 week kind of to really kind of get in the right frame of mind to be charged up for my new job. So I think between now and the end of June, I know I do have two out of state weddings where I'll take like a Monday off or, a long weekend type of thing. So, but I don't have, so I think if we, if I needed to give a number, I would say it wouldn't be more than 15 days in the next 3 months. So, an average of a week a month, whether I can actually take that much. We'll see. It's a workload issue, but,
Okay,
it's,
so how much vacation would you have left as of your resignation date?
I think as of today, I've got, somewhere on the order of 20 days remaining.
Okay, so there will be some payout.
Yeah, and Jenny was, she calculates for all of that.
Okay. Chris, any thoughts? Or did you want to hold off until we?
No, my thought is if he's out the middle 2 weeks in July and back the last week,
Seems kind of awkward.
well, do we try and get the interim town manager in somewhere in there?
I don't know, it's a separate question.
Well, it's a separate question, it's a related issue. Just trying to think it through.
So how does that impact his vacation time? Thanks.
It doesn't, I'm just thinking through the process to keep the town moving forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess it is strange to come back for 1 week after you've been on vacation for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of I haven't like, that's not set in stone. I haven't, I'm not gonna be leaving town or anything. I just think, having some, having, some significant, like, I haven't had 2 weeks in a row off in 25 years.
Oh, I know.
Literally in 25 years. So if I can make that happen, I think it would be good for me and my family. Whether it's, that second week or whether it's maybe, part of the week prior to the Cape, like 2 days before, it's not set in stone whether it's, 5 days or whether it's a few days. The idea is I want to have, a significant break, but I don't want to, I think there's a town interest in kind of staying on the books through the audit field work and also just the longer that I'm here, I know, there's just a lot of work to be done. And I know, the core staff are, the longer I'm here, I think the better. Just to make sure to have the most amount of time to handle the transition as possible.
So is there any flexibility on the audit schedule? I mean, can they?
No, that's sad. No, because I mean, in order to have it done, we like to get the field work done early in the fiscal year.
Mhm.
And with Caitlin out that third, it's already on the calendar. I mean, auditors are very busy, so once you have those dates locked in, you do not change those.
Okay. All right, well, let's focus on the ask here. Do you have any concerns about this, Chris?
No.
Are you sure?
Well, my concern is the void at that point, that you want to separate the issues if he wants to take his vacation time. To be gone 2 weeks in the middle of July and then back for a week, I think we need to get an interim town manager in at that point. Right?
So would that change any of Angus's plans?
I'm not looking to,
Okay,
change his plans.
All right.
I think he's entitled to
okay,
do this.
so let's vote on this and then. You know, I think that'll be part of the, you know, the town, the consultant for the town manager search is working on the interim town manager piece.
How do I make the motion? Can I make it 15 days? Does that work? Does that work for you, Angus?
Mhm.
I move that we authorize the town manager to use up to 15 vacation days in the last 3 months of his employment, the town, which is to the date of September 1st.
July 31st.
So you have not
I'm sorry,
submitted your
Joy.
resignation, is this?
No,
part of it?
for this reason, I have not submitted my resignation, because under my contract, if my resignation effective date is FY 27, it's 60 days notice, so technically I could not give my resignation to the end of May. I don't think that's in the town's interest to do that. But that's what I would do if it wasn't approved, because that would allow me to take vacation in May without accounting against those 6 days, so it's, honestly, I don't know. I would put that in, but
So the intent is July 31st.
that's the intent,
Okay,
yeah.
so I would have that in motion for September.
Well, yeah, that modified, I'm sorry, so September, July 30th,
Okay.
that's correct.
All right.
Angus, correct me on that.
Yeah,
Alright.
that's right.
Second. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? Aye.
Good, so with that, I appreciate that, thank you, and with that, I would, I will put in a formal resignation, I don't know if it'll be tomorrow, but if not tomorrow, early next week, and that'll allow everything to be kind of, official.
Great. The next item is, minutes. March 12th, March 19th, and March 26th. You all set on these, Chris?
I had pre-approved them all previously. I
Okay.
don't think they went up to you afterwards.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to approve all 3 sets of minutes, March 12th, March 19th, and March 26th as submitted.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to discussion items. Item A is an initial list of any mailing or potential fall special town meeting proposals. So we talked about a couple tonight.
One thing I don't think I put in there was the public safety HVAC, so I just, whether that's whatever form that takes, but, that does continue to need to get done.
Yes, I'm not sure how we handle that. I mean, I think if Brian had conveyed that, that he had reached out to heat pump and that it wasn't a good application, that might have swayed the vote, so I'm not sure we wanna completely pivot to heat pumps now.
I don't either. First time I was back up and look at the decarbonization plan. I believe we saw it. I'm not sure we approved it, and I'm not sure what that approval entailed, if we did approve it.
Yeah, I asked the same question, I guess, during the town meeting. 'Cause
I remember seeing it and it was like, this is a plan going forward, it's a general roadmap, so to sit there and say you're hanging yourself with a detail, I'm not sure that was.
Yeah, but my recollection, I think I tried to convey this to Wendy during the meeting, my recollection of that was that it was basically accepting it as a complete report. Meaning you're not expecting.
Right, it wasn't a work plan,
It was accepting it as a complete report, I didn't recall the vote being,
we wanna do this.
we are committing ourselves to this now and in the future, that's not how I recall that going, but.
So I wanna revert to that point, see what the decision was, see if it was a reasonable and logic decision, whatever it was. And then decide to move forward. And I personally thought Brian was gonna address Rick's concern at the meeting, he did not.
Mhm. So he had talked to a vendor, correct, Angus?
Oh, yeah, he looked into it in detail, and that was talked about during the, warrant article review process, and he had shared his, thinking on why he had, recommended what he did. And, yeah, he'd done a fair amount of diligence on that, and I did talk to him about kind of the discussion at town meeting and, afterwards, and he expressed that he was comfortable with what he presented in terms of presenting the project, but once it got into potentially back and forth, he did express he didn't feel totally comfortable being, because he doesn't want to appear to be, argumentative or anything, at all. So I think that might be something for future town meetings to, make it clear, like who, when it gets into that, because if there's questions, that's one thing, if there's like questions, but if it gets to any kind of back and forth, whether that ought to be the an elected official or the town manager or something.
I was going to, I talked to Brian in
Yeah.
advance of the meeting, because like, you know, Rick knows that at a previous meeting, I expressed my frustration and concern at how inefficient heat pumps are, because I just ended up putting one in a project. And it's gonna cost you 5 to 6 times what fossil fuels will cost to heat with. The system is very expensive and very inefficient, so they're not made for New England. Brian was gonna express that at town meeting, so I did not, and then he didn't, so we kind of left a void just blowing in the
Yeah.
breeze there, and it failed, so. My suggestion, I think we ought to invite the Energy and Sustainability Committee and have a discussion with them. Just pull the rug out from under them, but I'm still not in favor of a heat pump until the technology catches up with the efficiencies, so.
I know one thing, I met with Brian earlier this week, and he was saying there's, kind of some hybrid technology where it's primarily electric, but that there's, kind of supplement of, is it natural gas? But what he was saying is, for instance, like if you have a minus 10 degrees, where the heat pump is, in his experience, is not gonna be able to keep up with that, that it toggles over to more of the, fossil fuel, so, you know, he's continuing to look at those options, but I think before he goes, you know, too far on that, it would be good, I think Chris's suggestion is a good one, and whether it's a meeting with the committee or whether it's just a meeting with this board and Brian, but so he knows what is the direction, is the idea for the fall town meeting to come forward with two competing proposals, or is the idea to, you know, re-propose the same type of thing and present it more thoroughly?
I would favor the latter.
Yeah.
And I'm also a little concerned about, the Energy and Sustainability Committee, having somebody meet with Brian, you know, I think then he's getting direction from a committee and potentially pressure, so. I think it's better if he takes his direction from the town manager or the select board rather than the committee.
Funny you say that, because after the meeting, I won't mention somebody's name, but somebody came up to me and said, they're an HVAC mechanic, and they had the whole different argument that they will not work in New England.
Yeah.
Presented a very good case. I have real life experience, I find on a residential scale, they do not. So to have somebody sit with Brian might be.
Yeah.
And again, I think we'll be respectful to meet with the Energy and Sustainability Committee as well too, because I appreciate their concerns, and we just have to make sure they can align with the realities.
Yeah. All right, so when should we schedule that for?
So that January. I don't know.
Well, my concern is if the town meeting's not until the end of October, that's heating season already, so is the existing system gonna function appropriately?
I know I believe there is some concern about that.
It's just so frustrating. Is there any, how much was the article 35?
No, it's like 22,000.
That was 100.
No, I've got it right here, it was in a special. I know it was.
My system cost more.
22,000, it was Article 16, special town meeting. Because it's a single one of the unit, it's not the whole.
There's 5 units that gotta get replaced all the time.
Over time, right, but,
That could be a reserve fund transfer.
Just gonna ask if there's any alternative,
there would be, yeah, I think as we get closer to June 30th, you know, we always, you know.
I mean, I would favor that, and then we can have this conversation. If there's 5 units, we're gonna have to replace all
Right.
of them eventually.
Right,
So to me, having one offline this winter is not
no,
acceptable.
no,
And again, the number eluded me. I thought it was more than that, so this is not a good comment to say, but if it's just 22 grand, I appreciate Rick's comment. You don't wanna be sitting on this 20 years down the road, still burning fossil fuel. There's a better plan. So if you have to dump a $22,000 system in 5 or 7 years, that's not a big deal if you've got an efficient system.
Mhm.
So it doesn't have to be a long-term piece of equipment.
Yeah, okay.
I think if the direction was to find the money for the 22K, whether through line item or reserve fund transfer, I'm pretty confident we could do that
Okay.
between that, you know, now and June 30th.
So do you have a separate list of items to use, transfers and?
Yes.
funding? So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I would add this and.
Okay,
I don't know how that fits in the priority with your other items on the list.
It's not, I do think the money's there.
Okay, good. Any of the other items? I mean, the steel landfill monitoring, maybe you want to do that.
Mhm.
I think Jenny said that the money would have to be expended before fall town meeting, though, for one round of monitoring.
Oh. Right,
Yeah.
But, so is it,
Didn't know that.
Didn't know.
so we may only be transferring half of the 12.
got it, okay. Yeah, I haven't, I'm not sure.
My only question there says revisit for police overtime line item. I hope and expect we're gonna get monthly reporting on that.
Yeah, so what, how do we
Well,
make
so
that happen?
the thinking there is because the initial proposed amount was based on a calculated amount of the assumption of 2 officers on every shift, 24/7, 365. I met with Dwyer today and we're gonna meet again next week with Jenny. If in the analysis of whether that's possible at those staffing levels, it becomes apparent that that might not be possible, then that needs to become a policy discussion with the board as to whether that is a level of staffing that the board is continuing to commit to, or if not. And I'd much rather get that squared away in the next, month or two, so that before the fiscal year starts, he's got a very clear plan because if he's gonna be limiting the overtime to $10,000 a month for the year. And if that is not possible while maintaining the level of staffing that the department's been providing, I wanna know that. I don't wanna leave that for a new town manager to have to figure out. It's something that I'd like to work with him and Jenny. Because the number that was proposed was a calculated number. And the number that was approved was not a calculated number. So adjustments will be needed on the order of, it was a third less than what was proposed. I think if he comes back, or if he and Jenny come back and say the only way to make the budgeted number work is gonna be to change the staffing levels, then I think that's something the board needs to address head on, ideally before the fiscal year starts.
Yeah. But the fact that overtime continued to increase while we had people out, I mean, obviously they're not staffing at that assumed 2 officers every shift.
Well, right now, Dwyer's covering a lot of shifts, and that's not something that
No.
we wanna see continue.
No, but I just, over the last 3 years, All right. Anything else you thought of, Chris?
I've just got a question, the overlay, it says repeal the overlay district, is that necessary?
I mean, if it's passed. You can't just keep it in there if you're prohibiting, it's just messy.
Here's the housekeeping thing.
Yeah, it's housekeeping. it's not
Yeah.
critical.
Yep,
I express a view on that.
That's not,
Doesn't hurt to keep it on the books. I mean, if, is that way, it doesn't have to get adopted again if there were to be some crazy action later to switch back.
well, the market's already passed, why, no harm to leave it, if you undo it, you might have to revisit it at a time when it's not as favorable to implement.
Yeah, that'd be a planning board decision. I mean, it's there. Was there. All right, let's see. Next item is proposal to delineate a portion of town property at Cherry Hill for a butterfly garden. So it seems like this has turned out to be a bigger proposal, given the, potential past, use of the property or use of, arsenic, right?
so Rebecca found a bunch of files, she transferred them up to Paul. He's gone through everything, and we got an email from him late this afternoon that had like 5 or 6 attachments, so I didn't want to send it around because it was a lot of paper. And I didn't want to drop that on you, 2 hours before the meeting, but the long and the short of it appears to be, but it needs, I want to send it around and everyone can look at it thoroughly, but it doesn't appear to be any issue in terms of arsenic concentrations. That was kind of his bottom line takeaway. But I think if this is something, like I said in the memo, if this is something that you kind of like the idea, my recommendation would be I'll put in circulation everything we have, including we found the environmental assessments that were done in the early 2000s and get that all in circulation. And if that's a non-issue, then the board could take this up at a future meeting to endorse going forward or not. If you don't want to go forward, then let's not spend that time, but if it's something.
It's not a work plan?
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
So that's my concern with it. I think the idea sounds great, but if we're trying to avoid additional work during these next few months, this seems like it might not be a good. Or maybe we put it on the work plan and have it for a longer time frame, like next year or sometime. What do you think, Chris?
The question that precedes that is, who decides what the town gets to put on its land? And suppose somebody said they wanted pickleball courts out there, basketball courts.
I guess select board decided.
Right, it's under your care and custody.
So the select board can do whatever they want to do. It seems like there should be more input. This came out of the blue, sort of.
Mhm.
I'm not necessarily opposed to it. It's just process and procedure again. What's the right way to approach something like this? I see you raising your hand.
The way this all came up, can you go back to the map?
Yep.
Area B is where I'd like to put the butterfly area. And in talking with Carol, she come up with an idea for area A of putting black plastic down, killing what's there for a season, growing season, Carol, I believe. And then planting native seeds and covering with salt marsh. That's how we got into looking further into this. But as for area B, I'm gonna go out tomorrow and put up some stakes with some flags on it and be the area that I'd like to help out and designate butterflies and all, basically, again, treat, have the interns take care of it. Right now, it's pretty, barren of sticks and, woody growth. And, so to maintain that, the butterfly would be just basically weed it. And then, like I say, Carol brought up the thing of bringing a meadow type of an area using the black plastic, getting down to the dirt. That's how, all this kind of idea, I think, Carol, did you have a meeting with your group and that's how this, arsenic thing come up?
Yes, when we were talking about projects for the land stewards, Patricia remembered that there was arsenic. It was noted, I guess, in one of the reports. So we wanted to make sure before anything happened here, is there arsenic or not? So, yeah, but we had talked before about having a pollinator habitat, and with the land stewards, it'd be a great project for them. And even to identify what are the pollinator plants that are already there. There's quite a few. And how can we kind of restore that area?
Yeah, there's two different issues. Number one is the arsenic, but the other is the utilization of land.
And I think a third issue is the utilization of the interns. I mean, I think the intent is for invasives management, but this is creating something that we don't already have, so. So that's a work plan issue. I guess that's what I'm coming at.
I'll address the arsenic, because I was on the committee that acquired this property at the time, and Patricia was on it. Annie Madden, I'm trying to think who else. And I did texted Annie Madden today, because at the time, after we decided we're gonna purchase the property, there was some study done on the chemicals on the property. And Annie started explaining to me how they were reducing their half-life and all this stuff. So I wrote to her today, and she had a little background on it, but no idea what the reports might be.
We found at this point, just in the last 2 days, we found a lot of paper, so it's, and Paul's been helpful to, we were able to find or Rebecca really was able to find the time to find the documents, and then we just kind of gave it to Paul, and he had more time to kind of dig through and analyze what was in there.
So there's that whole issue which will get worked out. My other thought on that is the two houses on the property were actually, at the time, were actually 3 building lots. The big house bought 2 lots and built 1 house on the lots, so there's actually 4 lots with the one the town bought. If people were really that seriously worried about contamination of soils, when they built the houses and the driveways, the infrastructure, it was already stirred up significantly at that point. So I'm not sure that's a huge issue, but who decide, I mean, there's been no public input on what happens on this land. That's my concern. I don't, I'm not sure I'm opposed to it or approved, interested in it, but I just don't know.
I mean,
Well, was there public input, Chris, when, the interns started working on the invasives there? The public didn't know where the interns were going to be working.
I think
So,
he's talking use of the land, not use of the interns. To
So it-
create,
okay,
I mean, let's take it to the
put back
sheets.
pollinating plants, to put back native plants would be a concern. I mean, that's really what we're talking about, is restoring native plants to this meadow.
I know it's not a concern to me personally, but we work as a community, and I think the input of the citizens is should be respected, Suppose the kids said they want a skateboard park out there and come to the select board last year. I think you would be upset with that concept, so I think you gotta be respectful of everybody and what they might want. I'm not opposed to it at all. I would sort
Yeah.
of more agree with. I just think we gotta be careful when assigning
Sure.
utilizations to land, just carte blanche, so.
Can I ask a question? When this land was acquired for any particular purpose, like open space
It
or?
was open space and, what do they call it?
View shed.
View shed, yeah.
Because,
Because we knew we didn't think we could buy the whole property, so we wanted to.
yeah, so under Article 97, a change in use to like a skate park.
it's not a conservation. parcel.
There's no deed on it that restricts
But
anything.
even acquiring it for open space is considered.
I don't think that's in the documentation. I think we just bought it having those discussions.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Something to be aware of.
Yeah.
But the other thing, Chris, I would just say is that this was done, this doesn't interfere with it being, if someone came in and said, hey, I'd like to put a skate park, you're not taking down a skate park to put in native.
Well, I understand it. We're all like-minded
Yeah.
on this, I agree, but we've got, a bunch of other residents out there that just to find out about this in the packet 2 days ago for me
Right.
is kind of stunning.
But it's a discussion item, that's why it's. a
I know.
discussion item. It's not an action item.
But
So
I'm saying,
it's basically running an idea of a flagpole is what it
yeah,
is.
personally, I think it's a great idea, but I think we need more input.
I'm more concerned about the work plan aspect of it. We had agreed that we weren't gonna take on any projects the next 6 months, and this is a new project,
We just put
so.
another one.
What's that?
You just did the dock, so.
That's on there already,
Nice,
so
we
we
moved it
changed
up.
that. So, I mean, is this something, Butch, that, well, I don't know, if we're gonna address your point, then we shouldn't be putting it on the work plan until we have some kind of process in mind, is that what you're saying?
If you guys wanna wait, then we'll just go back to mowing once a year until
Yeah,
we.
I think
figure
that's a
out
good
what we're gonna
interim measure, yeah,
do.
Yeah.
Okay, you wanna find out what about the arsenic and
yeah.
all that stuff. Like that, we're just, a discussion we had when I was with Carol and Angus, and it kind of come up, and we figured we'd put it out there and see what,
Yeah.
what goes in the arsenic, and came up,
Mhm.
so this.
With you saying that makes me realize how rushed we are on it. We don't even know the status of the arsenic, so.
Oh, no, exactly, that come up with just this week, I think.
Yeah.
Angus, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do have something from Paul this afternoon that says it's not issued, but you haven't seen that, and right, no, I understand that.
I would like to get input from other people too.
Yeah,
And
no,
everybody might
I
love it.
get
I'm not
that. Yeah, I
saying
mean,
there's
part,
any-
part of the context for this has been, we've got a couple of land stewards coming, and we wanna make sure we have something tangible, so maybe this isn't it, and that's fine. But that's part of what we're trying to do, is have a successful summer land stewards
I
program.
mean, it looks great out there, what they've already done too.
Right,
It's really
right,
nice,
yeah.
so.
But you're talking about having them work on the butterfly meadow at Mill Pond, right?
There's one there.
Yeah.
So basically, this is reestablishing it.
I understand that, but the interns are gonna work there, right?
Correct,
That
yes.
is one of their projects.
Yeah, we have work for them.
And there's plenty of invasives in town. All right, so I guess that's the preliminary feedback, is hold on for now, and,
Put it on the work plan for a future date, let's have a process, we move forward with it at the right time.
well, I don't wanna put it on the work plan until we're sure we're gonna do it. If you feel like we need a process to look at other uses of that land, or you know, then I think that should happen first before putting it. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
So, just put it aside for now.
That's fine, I agree, we're just putting it out for.
Yeah.
Monday,
Appreciate it.
Great time.
Okay, next item is parking easement and potential to impose restrictions on the lot behind Soldiers and Sailors. So there's somebody here that's gonna join us, Angus? Have I
I
here?
know that Rebecca had been in touch with the,
Maura?
Director Butter, Maura. And, let me just see what time, I think
It's
she was told about 6:45 or 7, so.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure if she's planning to join or not.
Okay, thanks, Butch.
Thank Butch.
Good night. Thank you.
Just on that item, I'm heading to the county, but someone, the butter did come to us at our last meeting and raised that the company that does the snow management had a leak from a piece of equipment. That
That's what we're
was there.
talking about.
So that may be waived. Okay, good.
Well, that's
That's part of it.
part of it, yeah.
Yeah, no, but
I know
I-
Dan had gone out and looked at the, you know, they did a speedy dry and, yeah. Did that end up being an enforceable issue?
Well, it ran, that was more a question of, if it wasn't more than 10 gallons, which would be a chapter 2020 issue, not an affordable less.
Mhm.
But yeah, we were looking for better. There should be some restrictions, that's why I'm glad it's coming here, for what type of equipment and what the contractor.
They're not
None.
the store any.
Well, then there you go.
Yeah.
Are they doing the cleanup there?
Well, you'll see some photos, there's.
I've seen the photo, but out there,
Yeah, it should be cleaned up. Looked like it ran into the drainage.
but that's Concom, right? It's Concom requiring the
Yes,
clean?
so what we're still talking about.
Okay.
It's a separate issue then,
Yeah.
than parking in use,
Yeah.
yeah, right?
It's separate, but again, also of interest.
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
Yes,
yeah,
separate but interest.
yeah.
See you guys later.
Have fun.
All right, so, let's see. So I guess, Angus, what is the question that we're being
Well,
asked?
really, the question is, my assumption is that if I, you know, write this up and send it to town council, they're probably gonna say, in order to enforce an easement, you'd have to take someone to small claims court. I don't know that, but, because it's not, I doubt that this is gonna be subject to the conventional policy that you guys have adopted and amended over the years on traffic rules and orders, because it's not a public way, it's not a road. So my assumption is that it's gonna be whatever authority someone has to enforce their rights under an easement, which I believe is to litigate and or to go to court. So before, again, getting back to work plan, before I write up something, get the ball rolling, and before, you know, we spent hours on an issue, I wanted to kind of see how urgent is this issue, because I'll do whatever you want, but it will, you know, if I go that route, like, how far do you want to go, or do you want to, is it really an issue of engaging with the homeowners association, making sure that they're not having their, you know, winter maintenance person part, what's the end game? Because we could spend a lot of time on this and.
Yeah, I think there's two issues. One is the immediate of they have to start, they've done it for the last 2 winters. And the
Yeah.
first winter, we had reached out to the HOA
Yeah,
and they said that they talked to them. But then they're right back. And then it also happens during the spring and summer with their landscaping equipment. So, long term, I think we should exercise the town's rights on that, you know, easement, but I agree that that's not an insignificant amount of work. And that's mostly at your level, right? That's not
Right.
something you can delegate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris, what do you think?
Are we not allowed just to post a sign in the states?
that would be easy.
That's a simple sound, the sign made up, it said this is, you know, parking exactly as it says, to serve the existing building.
Yeah.
All of us, please.
So, and you know, I could just, you know, it wouldn't be difficult to just send this memo to, I think it's probably gonna be Sharon, and just say, look, if push comes to shove, what is the enforcement mechanism? She'll write something back, and it's probably to take someone in court.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, before we go too far with this, if we're not intending to do that, at least on the near term, I just didn't wanna like start up a whole new thing.
Well, again, it depends, like if somebody's parking a car there overnight, that's not a big issue, but to park your equipment and have, I mean, that fluid, there's a lot of fluid leaked out of those.
Yeah,
You know, that's when it becomes a problem, so.
Yeah, I feel like you know, putting a sign there, sending a letter to the homeowners association, informing them that we have the easement there, it's for use of that building. And that their contractors shouldn't use it for parking.
We allowed to put the sign there, is my question, I guess.
Well, why wouldn't we be?
We don't own it, we have a right to use the parking,
But we own the property, put the sign on the property.
oh, on the town's property
Yeah.
there, okay, that's fine. I think that'd be the best
Yeah.
option, rather than getting into litigation and lawyers and all at this point, you know? And hopefully, people see the sign and respect it. Wishful thinking.
Mhm. Is there any advantage to asking Sherman to write the letter to the HOA?
I would suggest not yet,
Okay,
just because and also I know there's been, so I believe, I think I heard recently there's been a change in kind of leadership at the HOA, so before going to like a lawyer letter, I think it'd be good to engage with whomever the current leadership is and see if it seems like they're hearing what we're saying and taking it seriously, then that's great. And
okay,
you know, ideally not go to a higher level of kind of
Okay.
until unless it becomes helpful to do so.
and so, the abutter, what is her?
So, you know, she had reached out about the dripping of fluid, and I had confirmed with her, she was aware that Dan had gone out
Okay.
there. So I think she's okay, but it's been more recently, it's been Rebecca just corresponding with her to let her know this is gonna be on the agenda, and Rebecca hasn't made me aware of anything specific, so I think more is just keeping her ear to the ground on this.
So maybe we can send her a copy, can we just copy her on the letter? to the
Yeah.
HOA?
Yeah. Yeah.
I appreciate her bringing to our attention too.
Mhm. All right, next item is correspondence from Newbury Report regarding the potential brick grant. Just to support review of the land use regs around the reservoir.
What does BRIC stand for, first of all?
It's the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities. It's a FEMA. This is a,
Yeah, I mean, I think short term, you know, just writing a letter is not a big lift, but it's committing us to working on. And I also found it interesting in looking at the correspondence. It's not that they said, oh, let's include Newburyport, it's that the state said you need to include West Newbury, you know?
I think without an intention, an entire agreement, we're giving them every advantage at this point, they already own
Yeah.
the water, and we never. Seems to be friction on that from 100 years ago, so to give up the rights. Without getting anything, it's going to be dangerous.
So what we lose is Angus's history project if we don't, you know.
So if you sit there and we'll give you a surface water protection district, what do we get back? Nothing.
well, it's not something that anyone can commit, you know, what the conversations we've had and the correspondence that, you know, this board and the Water Commission has agreed on the kind of negotiating posture on IMA generally, is that the most that the town could ever agree to would be to bring a proposal to town meeting. It's ultimately up to town meeting whether to do it. This is more on, you know, is there gonna be an effort toward or to help them get resources to actually look at how that would go. I can tell you, you know, a year and a half ago, probably right around the time that they were doing that remember that very flawed plan that came to a head in December of 24.
Yeah.
Right around that time, I seem to recall they had a consultant under contract who had been looking at some kind of surface water protection bylaw, and I believe had at some point sent us a draft. We never even brought that to a meeting. It was so far from like anything we had any bandwidth or, you know, political will to do. And as I've reiterated with the city many times, it's at least like 5 different public bodies in the town of West Newbury that would need to be involved with that effort. So I don't know that having like another draft around is of any value unless the town's going to engage in it. So that's really the question, because I think if there's an intent, if there's a sense that there might be a mutual interest to engage with something like this, that's one thing. But if that's not in the cards for the timeframe they're looking at, then it, you know, I don't know that it really does us any good to have them just kind of feel that they're getting further and further ahead and or in their perception, you know, and feeling impatience. It would be, better to have this be a shared objective, you know, whenever that happens, and, yeah,
We have to talk about the whole plan, not just the components that favor them and disadvantage West Newbury.
right, yeah, and the city planner is trying to kind of compartmentalize because he's focused on what he's focused on,
Right.
but that's not how we've ever looked at this stuff. It's all been part of a bigger, what's the overall deal?
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate. I don't want this to come back and have them say, oh, we tried to engage you and you didn't want to do it, you know, but I just don't think we can at this point. I don't think it's wise.
We would on the conditions that they give us a long-term, wholesale rate of the water and allow us to drill within the watershed area, okay? I mean, that's foolish as them asking for this, to be honest. You can't ask for all the levers that we have up front and then leave us blowing in the breeze.
Yeah.
No one phrase, we should at least be able to parse this limited task.
Yeah, that's compartmentalizing.
Yeah, got that.
All right, so does that put you in a tough spot?
No, it doesn't. I mean, I kind of thought that was, you know, I didn't want to say, no, I can't write a letter of support,
Right.
which seems like a simple thing
Okay.
without making sure we're all on the same page. But, you know, especially when I had the follow-up correspondence of, are you looking for me to get these? And yes, he is. Well,
Yeah.
it's, you know,
We would
it's,
prefer to work together towards the entire municipal agreement and
Yeah.
as a whole.
yeah.
But
And
I think even, I think what Angus is referring to is just doing the letter, having all these boards and committees meet over the next month and get, I mean, that's not a small.
No,
task.
it's not, and it's not, and,
So,
you know, and I do think as recently as, you know, December, January, you know, I had some correspondence with the mayor, and we've spoken more recently as well. I do think we can get them back to the table on the overall IMA in the next, you know, I'd like to, before my tenure here ends, at least get that on some kind of path. And I do think that can happen, but not like if there's, yeah, I mean, I think that what you're saying could makes perfect sense to me. It's just not the right time for the town to be engaging in that.
okay.
And it would honestly be a disservice to that initiative to kind of express support when in reality, there's not the horsepower or the stars aren't aligned to really get in there and like roll up our sleeves and put in a huge amount of time, because that is what it would take,
Yeah,
huge amount of time.
Okay.
And then we make that wetlands file, it would be comparable to like that wetlands.
it would
file.
be worse, I
Yeah.
think, yeah. All right,
Okay, no, I'm at peace with that.
okay. All right, so the next item is just an update, for the opioid working group. So this is the memo, or the minutes that are in here, this Bloom, demo, so it's a software program, it's like a employer wellness app. That this is what they're looking to do, you know, as an alternative to this big speaker that they were talking about at the high school. So, this company has received, the opioid funding, it's considered an eligible use, it's basically an overall wellness, so there is an addiction component, but it's not focused exclusively on opioids or addiction, it's more about overall wellness and health and all of that, so. We had the person come and do a demo at the last meeting, so I just wanted to kind of get your views, Chris, if this is, you know, something that you would consider having them. It's quite expensive, but it's $6,500 for a year, that's unlimited community access. So the thought is to try it for a year, see how many people participate.
That's my comment, how many people do you think would really participate in
I
it?
don't know, no idea. The other thing they're doing is they have this, Dr. Kelly is coming in to speak at the Sage Center. This is somebody that, Jennifer Costain knew from, her time in healthcare. And, so he's talking to the seniors about opioids and addiction and so forth. So I think that's a great use of the money. And he's just getting a modest, stipend for doing it.
So what are your thoughts on?
I don't know, it's kind of a cool app, but I'm not sure on. You know, how well used it'll be. It might be worth
This should have a community somewhere in here. so I
Yeah,
thought-
Peabody's using it.
Do they have any idea of the utilization in those communities versus the population?
Well, it's such a, it's a much larger city with a kind of different demographic. They do have, reporting, and you can get the metrics of usage and so forth. So they're not bringing it to us for approval yet, but I just kind of want to let you know that this is the direction that they're going, and to see if you had their feedback that I could share with them.
Particularly just curious.
Yeah. What do you think about the idea of overall wellness versus targeted opioid addiction? Prevention or treatment?
Again, I don't know, these are the people who've been working on it and have more knowledge than I, so I'm not gonna say no if they think it's the right utilization.
Yeah.
You try it for 1 year, I don't think would be. That might be it out, might not be a bad option,
Yeah,
so. You were at the meeting that says, right, yeah. so.
yeah,
Are you thinking it's a good thing or?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing for overall community wellness. I'm not sure it's gonna change anything about opioid addiction. So then that's the only hesitation I have is, if it's an allowable use of the money, we don't have any other ideas for it, and maybe we try it for a year. But if everybody loves it, then we're gonna be committed to 6,500 a year going, and this is probably gonna go up next year. They gave us we're the smallest community that they would have as a client. So this price is, most likely gonna go up in the future.
guess you'd have to monitor the results and utilization. And
Yeah.
watch that pretty carefully.
And then the other concern is if you're targeting the senior population, they may not be as familiar with apps and how this is an app-based program, so.
Seniors for us, that means you go out at 5 o'clock to a restaurant.
Right. Do you have any thoughts on that, Ang? I'm sure you've seen these employer wellness apps. and-
Yeah, I mean, Blue Cross Blue Shield has a terrific app and it's got a lot of functionality, and every time there's a benefits fair, they remind me how it all works. I'm like, that's great, and then I never,
Yeah.
but I'm not.
Does anybody in town use it?
I know Caitlin Gilbert uses it and she talks to staff. I don't know how many people use it, but it's very neat. But I mean, I'm not, my schedule's kind of nuts, so it's hard for me to.
Well, I mean,
He says that our healthcare provider has one too, my wife's got the app and she uses it quite a bit.
Oh, good,
And it doesn't
yeah,
cost,
Yeah.
it's part of your healthcare.
right, no, it's a nice.
I have
it's a
one
nice
too, but
thing.
I've never used it, so I think, yeah, kind of funny. All right, so I'll just
Okay.
pass that feedback.
I mean, I would kind of echo what Chris said, if it's I think what you're both saying, if it's a good thing and, you could give it a try, and if there's not, and if it's not crowding out
Something else. Yeah,
other items.
And it'll depend what happens with cost going in the future too, because once that fund is gone, it's gonna get replenished a little, but.
yeah. Okay, thanks. Final discussion item is the OPEB funding study. What are your thoughts on this, Chris?
I couldn't even remember where we left it off last time.
Neither could I,
Yeah,
so
so-
going back through that.
So the way it was left is, those dire predictions of the cost to the town. She was saying if you changed your underlying assumptions, then they would not be as dire. And that was the question, whether you wanted her to look at, not as an aggressive funding. I think we don't, because we are.
I did look at my notes and said, let's just leave it as is and not,
Okay,
we only needed the information for that meeting, we didn't need to rework the whole thing.
right, and we're comfortable with the assumptions in that.
I thought we were at the time, but that's just, this far down that path I can go.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, that's easy then.
Yeah, I mean, to be very honest, I told Wendy this as well, when I heard from, Linda, like to close, I was like, I hadn't even remembered the loop wasn't closed, because it had been on the immediate issue of the, potential.
But I thought we left
consideration.
that meeting saying it's good enough for what we need.
That was kind of my thought, but obviously she's just, being diligent, and we had reached out to her recently to get their calendar for the annual report, so I think that probably triggered her memory that
Mhm.
there's still a draft report that I think is 98% complete. She just didn't want to close it out without
Unless-
making sure that if there was gonna be some change in policy, but.
Okay, good.
Good, thank you.
All right. Any thoughts on the correspondence?
Oh, yeah.
All right, there you go.
Well, I'm sure Angus has some of the similar thoughts, because we just sort of lived through part of this in a previous meeting on the rewrite committee.
Mhm.
Be careful what I say. Roland seems to think they've been disadvantaged by the formula the whole time. And that was all the focus was at that meeting, which is why it never went anywhere. I guess that's number one. Number two, I guess in there, so the town of Grove will be forced to evaluate all options to protect its interest. That sounds like a threat, which isn't. I found that a little offensive to start out the letter like that.
I think some of the backstory is that Rebecca feels like she's been kind of dismissed by the business manager.
That's fine, but then I
Yeah.
would think you would call for a meeting with the three communities, business manager and superintendent.
We have had that meeting at a staff level,
Okay,
you know, and included with.
I mean, eventually-
the person.
the district is gonna have to justify the numbers they put out versus what the state has, right?
But that's what really was, she's been pressing really hard, and we did have a meeting, I think, two months ago. Because we have these monthly finance team meetings, but at that one in particular, it was our normal group of myself and Rebecca Holden and Carol with Justin and Jonathan Suzanne Wallace. But at that meeting, they included a different staff person with Pentucket who I never met before. He seemed very capable, but he's someone who works in the background on data, and he was walking through in quite a bit of detail, the live count and all of these numbers. It was very technical, and it feels like Groveland has been pressing the district to respond in detail, and I take from this letter that they're not satisfied that they've gotten that response, because it seems like the district is saying, well, it's been consistent how we've been doing it all
Well,
these
it's
many
consistently
years.
wrong, I would, that's,
Right, if it's been consistently wrong and it's gonna be changed, I think that's why they're calling for some kind of working group to. Say if it is gonna be changed, that's gonna need to be,
would Desi have something to say on this? If the district is giving Desi different numbers than Desi has, where's the issue? I mean. And quite honestly, I mean. If you look at the numbers, West Newbury's gonna get a favorable benefit too. I'm not looking for that. Particularly, I'm just looking to. Find out how you. Align the numbers, what is the right number, does it come from the town of the district, or does it come from the state? Which is the right one, and then just play with the right number, I mean, it should be pretty simple.
It's just curious why the district is being resistant to,
Are they confident in their numbers, I don't know, I've not been part of the conversation.
yeah. So this predates the current business manager,
yes,
yeah.
I mean, when we were. Previously on this rewrite of the. Regional agreement, they were looking to change the number of decimal places, things got rounded to, and. All kinds of things, so. You know, if they're being disadvantaged, then fine, let's correct it, but if they're looking. To catch an advantage, then. That would be a disadvantage to the other towns, so it's gotta be reasonable, it's gotta be what the agreement says, and you gotta hold to it, real simple. Right. The highlighted thing says, the data or live count from Pentucket appears to include pre-K students and school choice out students, which should be excluded per the regional agreement. So are they saying the regional agreement? Is that the cause of why the regional agreement is different than the state's number? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't quite follow the number part of this, you know,
Well, again, Pentucket's saying Groveland, obviously, you can see 906, and the state's saying they have 904, and there's two students.
you know,
Obviously impact the way the percentages go for all the towns. You know, West Newbury's numbers are off by 2, and then Merrimack's off by what, 17? So I would think Merrimack would be more concerned than anybody on that.
all right, so. I mean, it's addressed to us, are they asking for response, or you're asking to form a committee, right?
Well, it's addressed to the school committee with copy to you.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not, and obviously this just came in on Friday, so it's kind of hot off the press. So, you know, I could find out is, the school committee presumably gonna put this on an upcoming agenda?
Mhm.
And might be a good opportunity for us to attend and,
I think if all parties attended a joint meeting to
Yeah.
discuss, the one thing I do like in here, they say, amendment of the agreement is not necessary.
yes.
That is an overwhelming,
Yeah,
issue at this point. If they just want to verify that the numbers are correct and how that process is done, I think that's a group meeting.
Yeah, if, kind of, just on a more. If it comes to find out that, if it starts to feel like some kind of pre-meeting before it's in a big school committee meeting, where some kind of more like smaller group meeting with 8 people, you know, that kind of thing is gonna be helpful to make sure that everybody's voice is heard and no one is like, you know, cause it gets very technical. So I think if that starts to feel like a pragmatic way to go before it gets to the school committee, I'll keep you guys fully
Okay.
apprised in that way, if one or the other, if you can be part of that. It's just, I'd hate to see it kind of get before a whole school committee, and, you know, I think for the reason you alluded to, which is absolutely correct, has been a sense of whether things have been, kind of, or people have been taken seriously, and we don't want to see anything that worsens that.
yeah,
I think there's a reason that, you know, town administrator has been so adamant, because I think she feels she's onto something.
okay.
Well, she could be correct. I don't have no idea.
Yeah.
I think the process would be pretty simple. Verify and understand the regional agreement. Make sure the school's allocating the slots appropriately, and then verify the DESI.
And I also do know for certain that the town administrator is representing the board that she reports to, you know, they're pushing, and so she's pushing. So.
Okay. On the wireless facility, I had a question on the designation as a small wireless facility. Does that change the shot clock requirements at all if we were not designated?
Yes,
For the better or for the worse?
I think the small is a shorter time frame.
So I wonder if maybe we should not push to be designated as small. It sounds like it's a judgment call.
No, the antenna height would disqualify it from what says, make you a.
Right, but he's saying he thinks that we could, you know.
Well, it's again, I think if you had a contractor already lined up, it'd be okay as far as the time frame. I think Sam's saying prepare for it. If you're planning to actually put this forward on the water tower, prepare for it now.
And I had asked him to do this memo because, and I had asked that before the decision was made for it to come off the warrant. So I actually got a draft of this back on, I think, April 13th, and I gave him some markups and suggestions, and then he finalized it earlier this week. So at this point, I think, you know, this is all toward like a potential fall town meeting, but the whole idea in the first place of why I asked him to do a deep dive on the permitting side was just so that if, you know, if it did go forward, whether in the near term or in the fall or later, that all parties, including the permit granting authority, understands that you know, the impact of the federal regulations on specifically the permitting timeframe. And so one of the changes I had suggested to Sam that is reflected in here is that, you know, this idea of kind of pre-engaging a peer reviewer. So, because these are things like if you have 60 days or 90 days, like you need to be like on day one shipping it off to a peer reviewer, not on day one like pulling up the yellow pages to see who the peer reviewer is going to be. So those are some of the kind of very pragmatic things we just want to make sure that if or when this goes forward, that everyone knows like exactly what.
Because the town, where the town is putting it out to bid, you control the process. Could you not say you need additional time?
Yeah, you definitely would have much more control under, you know, as the property owner. So it's more a matter of, I don't want to see the town try to exert authority that it may not actually have. Although, yes, the landowner, the town ultimately would control control things,
When
but
you're putting out the proposal, you could say, we understand that this could be a small wireless facility, but yet we will need 90 days instead of the traditional 60.
yeah, you could, yeah.
Only accept the proposal if you can engage with that. I mean,
Yeah,
I guess I still wanna understand the implications of claiming that we're a small wireless facility, if in fact we are
yeah,
not.
yeah,
you know?
yeah, I'll.
Yeah.
Follow up with that.
but again, you've got somebody pre-engaged. We know we're gonna be considering it until the town meeting votes, so we should be ready, like you say, the next day. Go.
Mhm.
So I don't think we're disadvantaged because there's no surprise on it particularly.
But we still have some work to do with the water commissioners and,
But that's not even till fall town meeting. That's what I'm saying. We have,
yeah,
it's not like it's not like it's on private property and they just submitted us today.
Right,
Then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
We know what we're thinking about. And those are internal discussions with the water commission
Yeah.
versus this.
all right. Future agenda items,
Boy. I wrote down some. I mean, what, revisit the decarbonization plan. Was it a roadmap?
all right, so we've already noted
Yeah.
that, right?
South Street, there's a lot that just went for sale that abuts an Essex County Greenbelt lot out there.
I did talk to Vanessa about that.
Okay.
Yeah, it abuts 95. She said there's no ecological value to it, so they're not interested.
Okay.
But it makes me wonder about, I mean, that was one of the MBTA locations that we were looking at.
Place, I think it's 11.5 acres.
Yeah,
It says 100,000, but it's pending approval of the bankruptcy court. So I'm thinking, Essex County, they got up 50 grand, it abuts their land, whatever.
yeah, but I'm wondering if there's a town interest in it for that amount of
You
money.
don't really have access to it.
Well, we might be able to negotiate something with Greenbelt,
Okay, so anyways, that's a future agenda item.
yeah. But if it's on the market now, did it just come onto the market? Do you know
Yesterday.
what?
Next thing, in general, I don't know if it's in general, I would like, because I'm not involved with this new, they call my governance committee, got a community engagement committee, what's it called?
Town governance committee.
Town governance committee. I would like to get updates, at our meetings, so that I'm aware of what's going on there. And obviously, I think the residents might like to know. Question, how many people are at town meeting? Not an agenda, item, just a question.
I don't know, 160, 170.
Okay.
I'm guessing, I'm trying to remember, they didn't do any of like that.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, I could have, yeah, they did when they did the
I
motion.
mean, it
I
will
should've
be,
counted
Amanda
that.
will have, I know she's working on her kind of town closeout report, so. What did you say?
130 to 40, so
Okay.
210 people.
Okay, oh, that was a vote,
No,
yeah,
no,
I said it was at least 200.
No, 130, 40. One of the votes was that, I remember those numbers, so that
Okay.
170.
That's, well, you know what, that's right, I did jot down,
I wasn't confident in the count, no, so it's either way.
well, there was one, I think that was a very close vote, and I personally do, it appeared to me Casey called it correctly, but it was close.
Yes, I agree, she called it correct, but it was close. Yeah, I'm just curious.
Anything else, Chris?
That's enough for me.
I think we need to address the Ash Street. I know the citizens are working on a petition for that. So it's gotta come before us at some point.
I talked to Butch real quick and asked him if he could let it run out, he said yes, but it's in really nice condition right now. I'm concerned that I'm frustrated too, because people drive through there 40, 50 miles an hour, I'm not kidding. Last year it took out all the wildlife, it'll do it again this year. I think at a certain point, if people don't smarten up or we don't let it run out, well, the state potentially could come in and close it. So it's definitely a future agenda item to address, and not that I wanna go down a unintended road again, but
Yeah, So you said you talked to Butch, is he gonna let it?
He said he's gonna let it run out until it gets. I think previous agreement we had was until fortunately the police chief thought it was a danger.
That's exactly correct.
Okay,
It's been maintained at. Very high level of. Survivability for the last year and a half.
Yeah.
So,
so anyways, what's the appropriate way to follow up? I mean, Chris just had a phone conversation with him, it seems like it'd be better for you to follow up.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
enforce that.
Yeah, that echoes conversations we have had, in the not too distant past. I think it's in the last 2 to 3 weeks. I talked with him and I've confirmed with him a number of times, including in the last few weeks that, we're continuing to follow the management plan that was submitted, and that includes, the pre-walking up the, stretch of road with a conservation agent prior to any maintenance. And so, I know he's continuing to follow that as if it's approved, even though that is still an open issue
Yeah.
with natural heritage.
and I sort of called him, and maybe I should have checked with you, but because I was getting the heat from the residents and I could see this thing going down the rabbit hole.
Mhm.
I just wanted his thoughts on it, so.
Yeah, I do think he's trying to do a good job and keep the road.
This is the nature of Bush, he's gonna do the best he
I know,
can. It's
I
up to
know.
you.
So but I think the intent was to have it be poor condition to
Yeah.
slow traffic down.
Yeah,
I mean, I was talking to Chief Dwyer, a few days ago, asking if we could put, speed bumps down, but I guess the ruts is the same thing.
Yeah, Bush doesn't like the speed bumps too much.
Well, Dwyer said if you put them on a public road, then they have lighting requirements and signage requirements, and that's what he told me. He said it was discussed last time, I don't recall.
It was discussed last time, and we were told you can't do them, but yet they're everywhere. The new report's got a big one, they just put it, I can't describe the road name. They just rebuilt the road, they put it like 4 feet wide, so you get one side, you go up over the top. They do have signage, no lighting, but signage.
Okay, all right.
So maybe he's correct on the signage.
Mhm.
Again, as we discussed, the ruts are just as good as speed bumps, they don't cost you anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I move to recess to executive session for MGL chapter 38, section 21A2 and 7.
Second.
All in favor, read aye.
Well,
right, great. The, board has recessed and will, resume, open session for the sole purpose of adjournment. Good night, thanks.